Today, we're talking about a show. I haven't done a show on this channel. I've done board games, I've done video games, I've done controllers, I've done games, but this isn't a game review channel. This is a review channel where I am allowed to review whatever I want. So, today, we're reviewing a show that I accidentally stumbled upon after I had just finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine and I needed a new show to watch. CENTAURWORLD. I love this show. I watched it with my wife, and I watched it with my daughter. She didn't really care for it so much because she lives in a gay household. So the show wasn't for her. The show is for children, but it was definitely written with adults in mind, and we'll get into that in a second. CENTAURWORLD is a conservative's nightmare. just gonna put that right out there. This show is a conservative's literal nightmare. Don't get me wrong, I love this show. This show should be watched by everyone because it touches on topics that is not just for the LGBT community, but also just for general life things. It's for children, it's on the children's side of Netflix. It can be found on the adult side of Netflix, but it says kids in the little description bar. This show follows a horse. Well, it is a centaur world after all, but it's kind of a weird show following a horse because you start the show off thinking this is going to be like about a girl and a horse saving the world and fighting the greatest evil, which they do eventually, but for the 90% of the show, you are just following around a horse who gets isekai'd into a world full of happy-go-lucky centaurs who are all weird and quirky. And it's not just the centaurs that are weird and quirky. There are bird centaurs, there are tree centaurs, there are mountain centaurs, there are cloud centaurs, there are little bird centaurs, there's like horses who are centaurs but who consider themselves to be horses and not centaurs. This show is very weird and very fun and very just kooky, and you're just following around this horse who wants nothing but to just get away from all of the centaurs and their just happiness and go back to her war-torn country and find her rider. She doesn't even care about the war so much. She just wants to find her rider and go home. So let's talk about the cast for a second, because the cast, oh my god. Okay, hold on, because I have them pulled up right here. You follow around Womawink, this pink, lovable centaur who also has magical powers that can make tiny versions of herself and put up really strong barriers, apparently. Don't fully understand how that works. She's apparently a shaman in this world who just wants to just hang around with her family and be like their supportive mom, and she kind of helps Horse and gives her the guiding touch that she needs to push her in the right direction. I love that about her. I wish I had a mom like that. And then we follow Zulius, the gay drag queen who only cares about looking at themselves in the mirror. Kind of see myself in this person just a little bit too much. And then we follow Dirpleton, the little rich kid who was misunderstood and just is growing up in this world with feelings. And then we have Glendale, the kleptomaniac. She just loves to steal everything. Anything that is not bolted down, she will put in her portal of just stuff. And then I don't understand how she can just reach in there and then pull out whatever she needs for whatever situation. But yes, she steals everything, even other centaurs. And then Crandy, the little short king. I love him. He's like a tiny bird creature who is, I mean, could you consider him to be a centaur? Maybe, kinda. It's a bird centaur. It's so weird. It's just Crandy, he is the short king of this group. He is definitely just here to just give the strong, powerful vibes of let's not do this because we might all die. But he also has some really terrible points on some really bad life matters stuff. Like, bro, maybe don't give out your advice because it's not going to help anybody but yourself, maybe. And then Comfortable Doug. Woo! I love Comfortable Doug. I feel like Comfortable Doug is the last one we're going to talk about because he is either gay or European. Yep. And he comes up throughout the whole show, and I love him. He is a mole centaur. Didn't know there was a such thing as a mole centaur, but there is one in this show. Every character is memorable, and you're gonna remember them for like months on end. You're gonna just be thinking that person is like Derpleton, that person is like Crandy, that person is like Glendale. You are a thief. You need to be stopped. Stop five-finger discounting everything in Target because you will go to jail. Yeah. Love this cast. Love everyone in it. And Horse is just following around this cast of just weird imaginative creatures who just want to have fun and just want to sing and party all day and don't really care about the consequences because there is no consequences in Centaur World. Because this is Centaur World. We're gay, we're happy, we're fun. There's a literal rainbow that circles the whole goddamn world, and Horse just travels on this rainbow trying to get home and essentially doesn't really care if this crew or cast follows her. They essentially are just following her because why not? There's nothing else to do. They were kind of just trapped in a bubble that Wamawink had put around them, and eventually you'll learn why she did the bubble and why she has magical powers and why she cares about her family. And the whole show just tries to fill in every plot hole, which I really do appreciate. This show doesn't leave anything to the imagination. I mean, it does a little bit. For the most part, every single plot hole and thread that gets put into this show eventually comes to an end and is resolved at the very end. We learned why the bad guy is bad. We learned why the good guys are good. We learned why the enemies, the monsters, everything in this world is the way that it is, and why there is a centaur world, and why there isn't a human world, and why there is a combination of the two. And the big bad, the Nowhere King, we eventually learn about who the big bad is, and he ties the both worlds together. And I won't spoil too much, but he is misunderstood in the fact that he was a centaur who wants to be more than himself and didn't understand that just being yourself is what's important and not changing who you are to fit other person's needs is not what's important. Nowhere King didn't understand that, so they tried to change themselves using magic, split themselves off, and then not any fault of anybody else's, but their own downfall led them to become the big bad. It was created by Megan Nicole Dong. I don't even know who that is, but almost everyone in this show is somehow in like Broadway. They are actual Broadway singers, which is so weird for this show because when you come into it, you think this is just another children's show. But then when they start singing, and it's just Broadway musicals after Broadway musicals, and then it's just full of theatrics and full of bright colors, and it's just, how did they blend this? Where did they even get the idea for this? Because almost everyone who is being sung here has been in like Broadway. What else can I say about this? Besides just being theatrical drama, this show goes into a bunch of different things. Okay, let's go into why I like this show. Besides just being like a fun, whimsical, happy-go-lucky show that I can watch with my daughter and with my wife, and we all three of us loved it. But it was more of just like, it for me, it was a show that I could relate to because it touched on a couple of things that I'm currently going through in life. So there's a whole scene in Centaur World where Horse is essentially starting to change, almost against her will, but not so much. She loves this world. She loves all the characters and the cast and everyone who's following her, like Mama Wink, who is like her mother figure now. Like, she doesn't want to leave them, but she's also changing in this world, kind of for the better. She's becoming happier. So I grew up in a world where I didn't know my real mother, I didn't know my real father. I was just thrown into America I'm here legally. Don't worry about that. I'm originally from Jamaica. I am here not against, well, technically against my will. Was brought here, adopted here, and I had to grow up in America away from my real family. And I've had to learn how to just cope growing up and finding out later on in life that the person that I was living was not my real mother, which was kind of a shock. But eventually you learn to cope with it and you learn how to deal with it, and you hope to make friends that will eventually become your family. So I only really have like 4 friends, and everyone else are, I want to say, acquaintances, people that I know and I can chat with and be around, but they're not really like my friends, or they're not really my family. I only have like 4 friends who I consider to be family. They know who they are, I hope. I think. Even the family that I have isn't family. So when I watch Centaur World and I see that Horse is going through some of the same struggles of not understanding who she is supposed to be in this world, not knowing if she can ever truly go home, and just having to now accept that she's in a world that she doesn't know, or she knows how to cope with, but doesn't know if she truly wants to be in this world. And then also just changing. So I'm transitioning to be, well, I'm transitioning. I'm now a girl. I'm doing everything that girls would do. That's such a weird way of saying that. But I'm now going through these things, and after watching Centaur World, it's made me a lot more confident knowing that the world will just accept you for who you are, whether or not they want to or not. They will just accept you and they will just do what they want with you in their own minds, which is not your problem or your fault. Do whatever needs to be done for yourself to make yourself happy, which is what Horse eventually learns at the very end. That Ryder is just not a crutch, but just a helping hand. They are not their sole provider, and that Horse can do and be anybody that they want in Centaur World. That's why I like Centaur World. It's a show not just for children, but also for adults. And if you are somebody who's struggling with depression, anxiety, like I am, Centaur World definitely helped me. Not only is it a fun, loving, brightly colored fantasy world surrounded by centaurs, horses, gay pride, drag pride, business pride. I will be watching anything that this creator, Megan Nicole Dong, has to offer to the rest of this show. If she comes out with another one, I will watch that. There's not much for me to say about this show other than, like, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.